everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the vlog. So in today's episode, the plan is to get the car in a position that potentially we might be able to go for a test drive today. So we've got the front end to finish off. We've got the mass airflow sensors to fit and install. So let's get on and see what we can do and get all those bits and pieces sorted so we can get this car running. So we're back on the TTS. We're coming to the end of this project now. Today I hope to make some good progress and get the front end completely on, and then we may even get it on all four wheels and out the garage door. But we'll see. Now let's start off with this. Do you remember last week I said to you, does anyone know what this is? These three wires I couldn't figure out. Well, we figured it out. So these two cables here, these are for the horn that goes on the crash bar, and that down there is where our temperature gauge goes. So 10 points if you worked out what that was. I know at least one of you did, because you messaged me on the old comment boxes, so well done for figuring that out. Okay, so we've got to basically put some bolts and bits and get the headlights all in place for the front. We're going to secure the front end because it's a little bit loose and there's a few brackets out here. I'm going to do those off camera because it's boring for you, but we'll come back when we when we get into a position to install the headlights. And then we got to install a heat shield at the back there, and then I think from an engine wise we're pretty good. Yes, we got to connect up the bonnet catch and all the rest of that, and then put the air filter mounting back in place. But yeah, pretty much it's just sticking bits that we unbolted back together. So it's a very straightforward episode today. So let's crack on and start off. Okay, so crash bar is now nice and firmly on. Let's get this wire on now. This wire, basically it hooks on like that, feeds through here. Then our temperature sensor, he hooks on. He hooks onto that, like so. So he's on. Then we've got our first connector for the horn. Clicks on that. Then we've got another clamp. So that goes onto the back. Let's get this right. He clamps on like that onto that, and that doesn't strain the wire, and then we just clamp on our other horn like so. Here we go, and that is our horn back in place. Just got to put that back in. Here we are. Okay, done. Right, what's next? Headlamps. Let's get the headlamps in. Okay, so the headlights on the TTs are really simple. They're held in by 3 bolts, one here at the back, and then one here at the top. Now to get to the back one, you basically just drive a extension down to the little corner that will be available. We might have to use a screwdriver though, a Torx 30 driver. So we'll have that prepared, but it should literally take a couple of minutes to get it in, and then of course we have our power connector right there. So let's get this left hand, there, that's right, it is left hand. Let's get the left hand headlight in, and oh yeah, and there's one down the bottom here that you drive in. All right, let's get him in. Okay, headlights are on and all connected up. Now we've got to concentrate on the front end. Now this should be pretty straightforward, and then after we get the front end on, we need to just get the brace bar that goes underneath, and then we are pretty, actually I'm going to put the brace bar on first because I think that will be easier. Then we can just get the front of the vehicle, get the bonnet catch connected up, and the crash detector at the front here, which I think that's what that is. And I think we're in a good place. Get the wheels on, and then we're good to go. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, let's crack on. Right, so brace bar is in place, but before we go and put the brace bar in, I've bought some new tools recently, and this is my latest investment, which is the old Milwaukee ratchet. This is of the M12 range. It's the M12IR. Now I bought this instead of a pattern one like this one here because I've had this now, this MPT, which is a really good ratchet, in my opinion, for about 4 years now, and it's finally worn. I mean, it still works and it works fine, but if I show you what happens, if I put my hand and just hold, it actually stops spinning now. So it's basically the cam shaft here that rotates is worn. So now it will tighten, but with any form of resistance, and it will stop. So I figured now's the time to buy a decent ratchet, because the other issue that I've had with this is that because these are pattern copies, yeah, so this is a copy of this. You can blatantly see it's a rip-off of the Milwaukee. Yeah, it's definitely a copy, and obviously the standard isn't as good, hence the reason why it's worn out, although this has lasted me, like I said, a good few years, so it's really done well. But the biggest issue that I have with these things is like the battery. So this battery here, it's really difficult to get hold of a new one, and although this battery does last a while, obviously with the Milwaukee has got it's a standard battery that fits throughout the range, so that's the reason why. And this was at a massive discount price. If you're interested, go and look at my Amazon store, link down below, and you'll see it on there. But I think this was about 105 quid, and I already had some Milwaukee batteries because I was going to buy some of this. I was going to buy one of these some time ago, so it made sense to buy this. I bought this as a naked, whereas to buy this again was about 60, 70 quid. So for the extra £40 I bought quality tool. I don't know, I think it is, but you may think differently. But in terms of the way this works, you can feel it's much better engineered, as you would expect, but this has served its time really well. So not disappointed I purchased this. Shame it's come to the end of its working life, but that's the way things go. All right, now this frame here, it's an easy thing to buy, and I'm not going to show you me fixing it because it's boring, but I've never understood what this frame actually does. I mean, it holds on the bottom tray, and that's all I can see its use. It doesn't hold the bumper in place or anything, but you have to fit it so you can fit the under tray on, because that's what it bolts to. Crazy. Well, we'll get that on, and then we'll start to work on the coolant, filling the coolant up. And there's a special way you fill up coolant on an Audi, and I'm going to show you how in a moment. Okay, so the frame is on, and actually the frame does do more than what I originally thought it does. It kind of acts as a little barrier for the front of the vehicle. Not a very strong one. Actually, it is a strong one. It is pretty tough, and it also bolts the front of the slam panel in place. So you've got these bolts here that bolt in, so it does more than just hold up underneath the under tray. Right, let's get to filling up these cars now with water. So on most of these TFSI engines and a lot of Audi brands, in fact not just Audi, other manufacturers as well, because of the fact that the radiator, here's your radiator here, is higher than the heat exchanger inside of the engine bay, it means that it is nigh on impossible to fill up the water reservoir. So here's a reservoir here, it is at the highest point, and although that's fine when it's filled, it means that when you fill up all the little crannies and the pipe works, etc., it's very difficult to get that up there without doing some form of vacuum fill. So in order to replace the coolant in these vehicles, you are required to use a vacuum kit. And the way it works is it sucks all the air out. These pipes will collapse down. Literally, a lot of these pipes will go flat. Not this one here. So these pipes will all go flat, and then you release the vacuum while you have a hose. So here's a kit. Let me show you the kit rather than me trying to explain, because you won't understand. So here's a kit, etc. Here we go. Right, so here's the kit. Literally this goes into here like so. Then we attach an air line to this. We suck all the air out of the system, and then what we're looking for on this hose here, we're looking to hold it in the green for about 2 minutes. We don't want to go any further than about 2 bar, but it should hold pressure for about 2 minutes. And if it holds pressure, it means we've got no air leaks. If it doesn't hold pressure, then it means we've got an air leak, so we have to resolve that. Okay, and then once we are okay, after about 2 minutes, we can then release this valve here like so, and then what it will then do is from here it will then suck in all the fluid from our reservoir. So we've got some G13, although it says G40 on the front, it's actually the specified coolant, and we've got a little level here. So basically this car takes about 7.5 liters. So we'll use this to fill up, and I will show you the process. You won't see much because this is a solid bottle, but what you should see is that fluid going down, and once it goes down to the bottom, then we know that we're good. Actually, I might get a clear canister if I've got one, and we'll use that instead of this bottle, so at least we can then see it going down. That'll be more helpful, won't it? Let's see what we can do. Right, so here's our fluid. We've got a bucket here that I can show you. Should be okay. I'm just looking where it's resting at the moment, but I think we'll be fine there. Here's our equipment. So what I need to do is just tighten that up. So let me put the camera down on the mount, and then we'll come back. All right, so how this works, we tighten this collar here like so. This bit here will swell out in here and basically will cause a seal. Okay, so we'll do that now. So stick him in, and we turn and turn and turn until he forms a nice tight seal, and that will ensure that we don't get no leaks or anything. Okay, that is tight. Okay, that should be okay. It's a little bit loose, so hopefully we've done enough to keep it tight, because the next one up is a little bit tighter. Let me grab the hose, and then we'll do the next bit. Right, compressor is all full, so we'll connect the hose up. Hopefully, yeah, we should be all right. Right, so after all that noise, It's now, we've got about 2 bar of pressure, that's what we're holding. The time is 15:50, 10 to 4. So we'll come back in 2 minutes, and as long as we're holding 2 bar there, then we know we're good to go to the next stage, which is to do the fill up. Now you can see the water pipe there, that's obviously, can you see that? That's compressed now. That's definitely compressed and gone flat. Surprisingly, not all the pipes have gone flat, but we're definitely, that one definitely has. And the other one's down below, so we can't really see that down there. But 2 bar is what we're holding, and as long as we're holding it 2 bar in a couple of minutes time, then we are good to go to the next stage.
A few moments later.
Okay, so it's 2 minutes later, and as you can see, we are still holding 2 bar. Time check, you can see, and we're okay. That means we can now go to the next stage. So the next stage just involves us unclipping this piece here, like so. Then we grab this hose. Okay, pipes in. Let's just release this fluid now. We should be alright. I'll just be checking, and we're alright with a little bit of air, just as long as we don't get any air in here. So you can hear it now filling up. I mean, you can see that going down. And if you watch the level, you'll see the level will go down pretty quickly. You can hear it being sucked in as well. And this is the way you fill up your tank on a VW. And once we finish this piece here, there is another procedure that we need to follow, which is to turn the heater up, let the car get up to speed. Okay, look at that. She's pretty much full now. So it always amazes me when they say 7 litres, and then I mean, that's 7, it's 7.5 litres, and we've still got maybe a good couple of litres in there. This happened to me on my Golf as well. But we are still topping up, it's still filling up, because that is still going down, I can see it. I put a clamp on here because it was loose and it was sucking air in, so we're alright with that. We just need to make sure that this is not coming above. But you know, it is actually taking most of it, which is good. So we're almost down to 0 now. Almost there. I think that's about it. I think we should be good. Okay. Yeah, I had the same with my other car, and I think what happens is you do let it run. You let it run for a little bit, and then it will obviously take some of this fluid down in some of the areas as well. So anyway, we're in a good place. We're now all topped up with fluid, and we can now, I'm not going to start the car today, I'm going to do this offline, but what I am going to do is fit the front bumper on here, because that's the last thing I want to get done today. Get the front on, then we're almost done. So let's go and get that done. We'll clear this out the way. I'll put this back into the tank, because we'll come back and fill this up. But that's how you fill up a VW and Audi, using the vacuum method, which is very effective. Right, front wing, here we go. Let's get this bad boy fitted. Once we get the front wing in, I then have something that I need to reveal to you, and it's the reason why this car is not going to be running today, which is sad. I know you're all looking forward to it, but let's get the front wing on. I'll explain after. Alright, so front bumper is now fitted, although it needs to be adjusted up a little bit more. I haven't put it in properly because I suspect I'm going to have to take it apart again, and the reason why, 2 things. Number 1, I've lost the hinge. Could you believe that? The bonnet catch is gone missing. I've searched high and low, so I'm going to have to get a replacement, but I do have one on order, so that will be here on Wednesday. And for some reason I've lost a couple of bolts as well, which is just ridiculous. So I've ordered some more bolts, and that's the reason why we're not finishing the car today. If it wasn't for that, we will be finished. So I just got one thing to, there's a couple of things I need to do. I need to put the frame in, need to put the MAF sensor in. That's what this plug is here for. We've got one other cable here. This cable here is for the bonnet catch, the release that tells the car that it's open, that it's not catched. So that's what that's for. And that is it. Everything else is connected up and doing well. Let's put that back in so we don't lose that, because we'll end up losing that. So that's the frame that goes in there. That's for the air filter, and that is it. Mostly everything is done. If you're wondering what those few nuts are, that's the old bolts. Those bolts there, they are, or the nuts, they are from the old engine's inlet manifold, or outlet the manifold, the exhaust manifold. That's what they're for. So they're not loose bolts that I haven't fitted. They are bolts that are no longer needed. Okay, right. So we are almost there. Just a few little things, and it's my fault because of the fact that I wasn't, as I've always said, I wasn't planning to take this car apart as extensively as we did. So I didn't really do my normal process of bagging everything, and that's the reason why we are where we are. But it is what it is. We're almost at the finishing line now, guys. Next week we will be taking this car off this ramp for the first time, and I am really looking forward to that one, so do not miss that episode. But there's one thing that we need to do. I just want to check the battery, because we haven't done anything with it for a while. So let's go and check the battery. Okay, so just to finish off today, just to make sure everything is okay for next week, I've got this BT100W. It's the baby top Don charger. If you remember, we had the BT200 a couple of weeks back. So this one is a scaled down version, but it packs as powerful a punch as the other one. So here you've got 4 different options. We can do a battery test, a cranking test, we can do a charging test, and then we can review all the data, and that basically would give us an indication of how the battery works. Now the cranking and charging test requires the car to be running, so it can test all those features, and then of course you review the data. But we can do a battery test while we're here, just to make sure everything is okay. So in here we've got a regular flooded battery. This is not an AGM battery, even it's a Lion battery, and that's the reason why I'm checking this, because Lion batteries are notoriously bad. So let's just do a standard test. It's CCA 500, that's correct. So we're doing a test now. It's going to tell us whether this battery is okay. I haven't charged this battery for a while. That's the reason why we're doing a test, really. And we've got a good charging. So the battery health is 100%. Charge rate 45, 12.27. So yeah, this battery is good. So a little diagnostic tool. If you want to have any details of where to get this and how much it is, check the link out below, and you'll be able to find that out. But it's a nice little tool to have to check any batteries that you may have lying around, or indeed checking your car battery. So close but so far. I'm really frustrated with that, losing those bits and pieces. And like I said, it's because of the fact that we weren't planning to strip the car down so far. This was supposed to be a really quick turnaround, and instead we've had this car for almost a year now. April is going to be a year, would you believe, that I've had that car, and it's been up and around. It's just ridiculous. So frustrating. Anyway, next week we will definitely be getting the car on the road and running, and hopefully everything will go well, the gearbox will be fine, etc., and we shouldn't have any problems. So stay tuned for that. And of course we've got to get the car then MOT, get the AC refilled with gas. That's not going to drag on and on, I promise you. It will be a very straightforward process. I'll get all that done within the same episode, but we've got to get all those bits and pieces done. And then once we do that, we'll then have this car, we'll run it for a little while, make sure it's okay before we move it on, and then move on to finally a new project. So got a few things coming up, got something coming up with a Tesla, which hopefully will happen this week, and I'll bring it to you in a very near episode. But that's going to be an interesting one. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and now the reality has. Anyway, you'll see it soon. So in the meantime, if you are a casual viewer, please consider subscribing here by clicking on the subscribe button just below here and the bell notification, so that you know whenever we release a new video, which we do every single Monday. Now we do have some reviews coming up, so stay tuned for that, some product review. And we will see you on the next one. But in the meantime, have a great week and we'll see you soon.